Welcome to 21st Sports recap and reaction for the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions in their Week 6 matchup played October 18th, 2015. We're going to go over all the scores and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. So these two NFC North division rivals going at it, and there was plenty of scoring in this game as these two teams would end up combining for 71 points. But starting off in the first quarter, with about 9.5 left in the first, Matthew Stafford he connected with Lance Moore for a 20-yard touchdown. Prater had the extra point, and it was 7-0 Detroit over Chicago. Robbie Gould would hit a 27-yard field goal with about 5 minutes still left in the first to make it 7-3 as the Bears cut the Detroit Lions lead to 4. So that would do it for the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, with a little less than 13 minutes left before halftime, the Bears would get into the end zone for the first time in this game, with Jeremy Langford scoring on a 1-yard touchdown run. Gould added the extra point, and the Bears were in the lead for the first time in this game, up 10-7. So then with a little over 9 minutes left in the first half, Matthew Stafford hit Timothy Wright in the end zone for an 8-yard touchdown. Prater added the extra point, and the Lions were back in the lead, 14-10 now. Robbie Gould would hit a 23-yard field goal with a little less than 5 minutes left before halftime to make it a 1-point game at 14-13. But then Stafford threw his third touchdown of the first half when he hit Golden Tate for a 2-yard touchdown with less than a minute left before halftime to extend the lead to 8 after the extra point by Prater, and it was 21-13. So that was the score at intermission. Then in the third quarter, Gould would hit his third field goal of the game, a 38-yarder, and it was a 5-point game with the score Detroit 21, Chicago 16. Then with about a minute still left in the third, Prater hit a 39-yard field goal, and it was back to an 8-point lead with the score Detroit 24, Chicago 16. So now in the fourth quarter, Jay Cutler would throw his first touchdown of the game, an 11-yard touchdown pass to Alshon Jeffrey. Gould added the extra point, and it was a 1-point game once again, this time with the score Detroit 24, Chicago 23. Then, with a little less than 8 minutes left before the end of regulation, Matt Forte would get into the end zone with a 2-yard touchdown run, and Chicago would go for the 2-point conversion. Cutler passed it to Forte. It was successful, and now the Bears were back in the lead, this time with the score 31-24 as they led by 7. So then with less than 3 minutes left to play, Prater hit a 32-yard field goal for the Lions to make it a 4-point game at 31-27 as they still trailed the Bears. And then with less than half a minute left to play in the game, Stafford threw his fourth touchdown pass of the game, this one to Megatron Calvin Johnson, a 6-yard touchdown pass. Prater added the extra point, and now Detroit was back in the lead by 3 with the score 34-31. And with just 21 seconds left. But the Bears would end up with a chance to tie this game, and Gould hit a 29-yard field goal as time expired, and it was tied at 34, and we were headed to overtime. So then in overtime, both teams would get the ball, both teams would punt it back and forth. They each punted the ball twice, and then with 2.5 on the clock left to play in overtime, Matt Prater would attempt a 27-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Lions win their first game of the season, 37-34 in overtime against their division rivals, the Chicago Bears. So what an ugly game this was between two cellar dwellers, and I say that with affection. Stafford having a monster game though, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 27 for 42. As the media had been dumping on him last week, and then he shows you just what he is capable of right here in Week 6 as they finally get their win. And that's the thing, we've seen a few years ago Stafford throw for over 5,000 yards, and in this game it was shades of the old Stafford, although he still is pretty young, but 400 yards for Stafford, It was the 8th time he's done that in his career. First time, obviously, this season. And Jay Cutler, 26 for 41 with 353 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Matt Forte was the game's leading rusher with 24 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 receptions for 20 yards, which gave him 89 total yards on the game. And the leading rusher for Detroit, Amir Abdullah, the rookie, had 14 carries for 48 yards. Stafford actually had 6 carries for 37 yards. And Abdullah also had 3 catches for 21 yards, giving him 69 total yards in this game. But through the air, receiving, Megatron, Calvin Johnson, his biggest game of the year, 6 receptions, 166 yards, and a touchdown. Lance Moore, 5 receptions, 106 yards, and a touchdown as well. Theo Riddick had 3 receptions for 50 yards. He also had 7 carries for 28 yards, giving him 78 total yards on the game. And Golden Tate, 6 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. And on the other side, Alshon Jeffrey, 8 receptions for Chicago for 147 yards and a touchdown. And Bennett had 6 receptions for 59 yards. We look at the kickers. Prater, perfect in this game, 3 for 3 on the field goals, 4 for 4 on the extra points for Detroit. And Gould was perfect as well for Chicago, 4 for 4 on the field goals, 2 for 2 on the extra points. And on defense, Tulloch, 9 tackles in this game. We had a forced fumble by Chu for Chicago. Also, Anderson had a sack. McPhee had a sack. Anderson had an interception. Goldman had a half sack, so Jenkins. And for the Lions, Wilson had a half a sack, as did Copeland. And Mathis had an interception. Look at the team stats. 26 first downs for the Lions, 24 for the Bears. And on third downs, the Lions, their most success on third downs this year, 9 third down conversions off of 17 attempts, 52% conversion rate. They also went for it once on fourth down and did convert for 100% on fourth downs. The Bears, 6 for 14, 42% converted on third downs. Total net yards, 546 for Detroit, 444 for Chicago. Net rushing, 155 for the Lions, 91 for the Bears. Net passing, 391 for Detroit. Stafford sacked twice for a total of 14 yards lost. And for Chicago, 353 net passing yards. Cutler sacked once and did not lose any yards. We look at the penalties. 10 penalties for Detroit, 98 penalty yards. 9 for Chicago, 76 penalty yards. And the Lions fumbled the ball 3 times. They lost it twice. They had 3 turnovers in the game, but they still found a way to win. And then we look at the red zone, 3 for 5 for Detroit, 60%. And then for the Bears, 3 for 8. So they really squandered their opportunities there in the red zone, converting just 37% of their red zone opportunities. Just 5 times they were not able to get into the end zone when they got down to the red zone. They got in the red zone plenty, but they just couldn't get it into the end zone from the red zone. Even though we look at the time of possession, 38 minutes, 57 seconds for the Lions, 33 minutes, 34 seconds for the Bears. They almost played a whole extra quarter there. So this game really, it came down to those red zone missed opportunities for Chicago. Even though they were able to force 3 turnovers, they weren't really able to capitalize and turn all their red zone opportunities into touchdowns. And that's what kept this game close. And they weren't able to shut down Stafford as he just kept airing it out. And he just was putting it up there, giving the guys chances to come down with it, especially Calvin Johnson. And they were playing like zone on Johnson, and he would end up with like 1 defender on him going up for the ball. And when it's one-on-one with Megatron, then he's usually going to win that battle, as he was doing today. So the Lions get that win against the Bears. They said these are 2 cellar dwellers. I mean, 2 teams that are really way underperforming their talent levels. But whenever they get together, it always is a fun game. And we saw a lot of scoring. So if you like to see lots of scoring and bad defense, then this was the game for you. But yeah, Lions 1-5 now. They finally win a game. Starting to wonder, is now, I guess, the Bears are popping the champagne. They're like, yeah, they're not going to... Or, I mean, the Lions are popping the champagne like, yeah, we're not going to break our own record of 0-16. Get out of here, Matt Millen. But, yes, that's right. The final score, 37-34, Detroit wins. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It's greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.